21. Mary Jane uttered a startled cry. Excuse me? Shep, I thought you liked me. Go away! I screamed. Please, go away! The dummy tapped his wooden forehead against the window glass. It took me a few seconds to realize everyone in the room was staring at me. Mary Jane scooted her desk away from me. Her face was an angry red. Shep? Mr. Hanson sat down the book he was reading and started down toward the aisle toward me. Why are you screaming at Mary Jane? Mary Jane? I cried. I'm not screaming at her. Don't you see him? Don't you see him out there? I pointed frantically to the window. Slappy had vanished. I don't see anything, Hanson said. The room exploded in voices and laughter. Shep is losing it, I heard Trevor say. I jumped to my feet. Didn't you hear him tap on the window? Hanson scratched the back of his head. I heard that tree branch tap, he said, pointing. It always does that if there's a breeze. But he was right outside the window, I insisted. Hanson put a weird smile on his face, like he was talking to a crazy person. Shep, we're on the second floor. No one can stand outside the window. Most everyone laughed. I hesitated for a moment, then I lurched toward the door. Be right back, I said. I heard Hanson calling after me, but I didn't stop. My shoes pounded the hall floor as I made my way downstairs to the side entrance of the building. Shep, is anything wrong? Our principal, Mrs. Hernandez, stood in her office doorway. I didn't stop for her either. My brain spun so hard with questions, I felt dizzy. Each question made the feeling of total terror rise in my chest. How did Slappy get out of the open grave? Did he come to punish me for burying him last night? What is he planning to do to me? I burst out of the school building, breathing hard. The snow had stopped last night. There were only 2 or 3 inches on the ground, enough to make everything look like the world was in black and white. My breath steamed up in front of me. I glanced around. The teacher's parking lot stood to my left. The kindergarten playground was to my right. 2 women in big fur coats stood talking at the curb. I shouted, Slappy, where are you? Are you here? The women turned toward me for a second, then returned to their conversation. A dog barked from somewhere across the street. I know you're here, Slappy, I shouted, cupping my hands around my mouth to form a megaphone. I shivered. It was too cold to be out here without a coat. I took a few crunching footsteps over the snow. On the street, the 2 women climbed into their SUVs and drove away. I heard singing coming from a classroom behind me. Some kids were happy and innocent. They were singing, I was out here looking for an evil dummy. I didn't have to wait long to find him. Slappy stepped out from behind the tree at the edge of the parking lot. His red-lipped grin caught the morning sunlight. His eyes flashed excitedly. What do you want? I demanded. Why did you follow me here? He moved smoothly over the snow as if he were floating. I saw that his feet weren't moving at all. He was floating. He raised an accusing hand, pointing at me. You killed me, Shep. Excuse me? I took a stumbling step back. My shoes almost slid out from under me in the snow. How did you get out? I cried. What do you want? What are you doing here? You killed me, he repeated. His wooden lips clicked with each word. He floated closer. I did not, I shouted. You know it was an accident. You fell and you hit your head. It was an accident. You're about to have a very bad accident, Shep, Slappy rasped. No, I cried. I'm taking you back to Hanson. He'll find a way to put you back to sleep. That made him toss back his head and laugh. His ugly cackle rang off the trees and the snowy ground. I didn't hesitate. I took a deep breath and dove for him. I reached my arms out wide to capture him. Sliding on the snow, I dove forward, made a grab, and my hands went right through him.